This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Thursday, the 8th day of June in the year 2023. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. Some tragic news to begin with once again this evening. A Lieutenant Coast Guard in the Guyana Defense Force who served as a special assistant to the recently retired Chief of Staff lost his life late last night after he was gunned down during a robbery in Cul-de-sac Street in North Ruimveldt. 33-year-old Rondell Douglas was left to die in the street after putting up a fight against his attackers in his failed attempt to stop them from stealing his car. Emergency services were summoned by persons in the area, but the military officer was pronounced dead at the scene. Douglas was using his private car to provide taxi services when he was attacked and killed. According to reports, he was hired by a young man at a taxi base on the west bank of the Marara to be taken to the North Ruimveldt area in Georgetown. Just after arriving in the area, Douglas was attacked by the man and an accomplice who walked up to the car. The entire incident was captured on a nearby surveillance camera. The off-duty military officer could be seen putting up a fight against the two men, but after he made his way out of the car as they fought, he was shot twice. His killers then made off with his motor car, leaving him to die in the street. The police said he was a licensed firearm holder. Shocked family members and friends have paid tribute to the fallen soldier on social media. His wife described the father of one as loving and caring. In a Facebook post, the wife, Candy McLean, said he was her constant throughout the years, her friend and her soldier, and the one she loved. Some colleagues in the Guyana Defense Force described the young officer as someone who was very disciplined and good at work. They described him as an excellent officer who always performed well. The Guyana Defense Force also paid tribute to him today. Police investigators have launched a probe of the incident as a search also continues for the dead officer's stolen car. More news coming up in a moment.
It's been a long time coming. Overdue, some might say. But now that it's here, it will change life forever. And it is here to stay. The future is now. Transforming Guyana into the 21st century. Introducing GTT Fiber. Experience internet connectivity like never before. Speeds you deserve at prices you can afford from a name you can trust. Sign up today. GTT Fiber is here. GTT. Together, we rise faster.
Oh my lord, I just love to shop in this store. My customers, them gonna love all these things. So many different things in one place. Household items, electronics, toys, stationery, confectionery, exercise equipment, shoes and clothes for men, women and children, school things, costume, jewelry, perfume, makeup. Oh, look the makeup!
Giftland Office Max, Guyana's favorite department store.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors, that my crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
Well, Mr. Smart, election in the air again, buddy. What a while on earth we can hear stories about dead people and overseas people voting again.
Well, Sunil, I can't say if you will hear that, but I know you can't cheat in voting at elections.
Why you say that?
Because if you try to cheat, you will be caught. And when you're caught, you will be prosecuted. And if found guilty, you will go to jail or pay a fine or both.
So how do you catch me if I try to cheat?
How? GCOM has several measures in place to identify if anyone attempts to cheat. For example, like pretending to be a voter that he or she is not. And those measures include checking the ID cards and the folio with voters' photos and any other information on it to verify that they are who they claim to be. So anyone who attempts to vote illegally will be immediately arrested by the police.
You're right, Mr. Smart. Anyway, thanks for educating me why nobody can vote by cheating.
Anytime, Sunil. Anytime, man. Anytime.
For more information, contact the GCOM hotlines on 225-0277-9, 226-6557, or 223-9650, or visit www.gcom.org.gy. LGE is Monday, June 12th.
Strong and solid in countries far and wide. New India Assurance, we're standing by your side. Golden service, half a century and more. New India Assurance, our policies are secure. From the heart of India, we serve these islands. The strength that you can trust, you're safe when you come to New India Assurance Company. Assurance when you need it most.
For your home, motor or business insurance, visit New India Guyana office, 58 Brickdam next to Star Computers. Telephone 226-0415-7. Comfortable parking available.
In the world of politics now, as the political parties head into the home stretch this weekend with their campaigning for local elections, the opposition APNU is accusing the governing PPP of vote buying, a charge that the PPP has repeatedly denied. At the press conference today, APNU Member of Parliament Ganesh Mahipal said while the PPP has been preaching about its popularity across the country, it has been going into communities and offering gifts for votes.
I don't blame anyone for stretching out their hands and saying, you know what, give me the $5,000 you want me to put on your jersey, fair enough. But that doesn't mean that they're going to, when they go behind that ballot box or that booth and they place their X, they're putting it to the PPP. And that is why I believe the PPP themselves know that. And perhaps that is why they are currently in a campaign to tell people that they must take a picture of the way they vote and bring it so I can see to conform. Well, we are saying that that is not right. Those who want to vote for the PPP, see, you enjoy that constitutional right. Those who want to vote for the APNU, you also enjoy that constitutional right.
Meanwhile, one of the party's candidates for Georgetown, Kibwe Copeland, raised similar issues.
If the PPP believes it is so popular, why does it need to bribe, intimidate, and coerce voters? Why does PPP need to dehumanize Guyanese by threatening to take food out of their mouths and the mouths of their children unless they wear a red t-shirt, attend PPP meetings, and vote for them?
Copeland also raised the issue of persons taking mobile phones into the voting booth to take photographs of their ballot paper in order to show how they cast their ballot. Earlier this week, the party raised concern after a candidate for the PPP showcased on social media a ballot paper from the Discipline Services vote, showing that she and her party had secured the votes of an elector. The APNU said the Elections Commission needs to look into the issue and ensure persons are not intimidated on local elections day, Monday.
We wish to remind the GCOM and the Guyanese people that in democratic societies, every ballot is secret, and it is a violation of our people's right when you coerce government, employees, and the wider citizenry to take a picture of how he or she voted to ensure people vote for the PPP. We call on GCOM to respect the law and convention and ensure no one is allowed to take his or her phone in the polling booth. Failure to enforce the law will bring the credibility of these elections into question.
The APNU candidate also said as citizens prepare to cast their ballots across the local authority areas, they must realize that the PPP's plan is to dominate and not to ensure development in their communities.
The PPP has little or no interest in protecting vendors and small businesses. Be reminded that the same day the PPP said it would respect vending, it ruthlessly tore down stalls at Providence. It destroyed stalls last Christmas in GT. The PPP will continue to harass and dislocate vendors to serve the business interests of PPP business cronies. The PPP has no plan to raise the living standard of Guyanese. No plan to raise household income above the poverty line. No plan to create good jobs for youths. No plan to transform the health and education sector. And no plan to build safe, appealing, and modern towns and communities. These are enough reasons to vote APNU and reject the PPP.
The opposition has also accused the government of using the distribution of the cash grant for students at this time to coerce parents into voting for the governing party. The APNU said it is strange that the cash grant is being distributed close to the closure of schools for the long August vacation and not in time for the reopening of the new school year in September. The PPP has been taking its campaigning into a number of communities and areas considered to be strongholds of the People's National Congress, which is the main party in the APNU. A number of PNC members, including a former mayor and a current councillor, have crossed over to the PPP. The APNU is still confident of doing well at Monday's local government elections. Days after Guyana signed a $150 million loan agreement with the Saudi Fund for Development, Vice President Baba Jagdeo has assured that the country's external debt remains relatively low. At a press conference today, Mr. Jagdeo said when compared to 3 decades ago, Guyana's debt is extremely low. According to the Vice President, the country's debt is at 12% of its GDP, and he considers that one of the lowest in the world. He said approximately 8% of the country's revenue is currently being used to service debt.
Our total outstanding debt will be less than 1 year of future revenue in the outer year. Very few countries can have that debt profile. In addition to that, we have not contracted any private variable interest loan. We have 2 variable interest loans, and they're both from the IFIs, the multilateral financial institutions. All the other loans are fixed rate loans, so we don't have to worry about interest rate escalation.
Guyana has been accessing a number of loans in recent years, including 3 big ones from the Inter-American Development Bank, totaling more than $205 million. Vice President Jagdeo said the loans are intended to finance major development projects.
And when we borrow to invest in things that matter. We can pay it back easily. Our health system, the roads, the power plants, the ports, things that are capital. We don't borrow to eat. We don't borrow to eat. We borrow to build the capital stock of this country, so our people can benefit. They can use that to create new industries and new jobs.
He also said the government is carefully managing the country's debt, noting that prior to the production of oil and gas, Guyana's debt was approximately 45% of its GDP.
So if you look at our history, you will see one thing that the PPP has done. This is one of our greatest successes that we never speak enough about. People talk about the roads and water and stuff. We took a bankrupt country and restored it to financial viability, and this was even before oil and gas.
Earlier this year, the former Auditor General Anand Gulsaran warned the government over its accumulation of public debt from loans, particularly those being taken from China. Wednesday's tragic fire at Mahaica, which claimed the lives of 2 young children, has prompted the Guyana Fire Service to again remind persons that they should not leave children unattended at home. The 2 sisters who died in the Mahaica fire were just 9 and 3 years old. In a statement, the Guyana Fire Service said while a number of adults lived with the children in the 2-story house, the 2 children were the only ones at home at the time of the blaze. The older girl lived with a disability. Persons in the area said they heard the screams of the children, but were unable to save them as the fire quickly ripped through the building. The Guyana Fire Service said citizens need to exercise caution and follow safety measures to avoid home fires. Additionally, the Fire Service noted that children should be educated on the dangers of fire starters like matches and lighters, and should be warned about their use, and should not be left unattended or at home without adult supervision. The fire service is also advising parents that they should keep their children away from the cooking area and ensure matches and lighters are out of their reach at all times. The fire service has been calling for more persons to install smoke detectors and fire extinguishers in their homes.
How to mark the ballot. Voting at local government elections is easy. On the ballot paper, provision is made for you to vote twice. Once on the top half, where you vote for the proportional representation aspect of the elections, and once at the bottom half for the first past the post aspect. Look for the name and symbol of the party of your choice in the top section and mark your X in the blank space provided on the right of the party's symbol. Then you look for the name and symbol of the party of your choice in the bottom section and mark your X in the blank space provided on the right of the symbol of your party or candidate. If the proportional representation aspect is not contested in your local authority area, the top section of the ballot will be blank. If there is no election for the constituency in which you live, the bottom half of the ballot will be blank. For more information, contact the GCOM hotlines on 225-027729, 226-6557 or 223-9650 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. LGE is Monday, June 12.
As part of its ongoing crackdown of the drug trade in the Berbice region, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit carried out an operation at No. 3 Village, West Coast, Berbice on Wednesday. The operation resulted in the seizure of 92.1 pounds of marijuana, which was found stashed at a house in the village. In a statement late last night, KANU said its agents also arrested 34-year-old Paul Lewis in connection with that drug bust. The man has since been transferred to KANU headquarters for questioning and is likely to face drug trafficking charges. KANU said the seized marijuana has a street value of more than 12.5 million Guyana dollars. Investigations into the drug bust are ongoing. Earlier this week, KANU carried out an operation in the Quarantine Berbice area and found more than 100 pounds of marijuana in a single bust. Justice of Appeal Rishi Prasad today ordered a stay of the orders of the High Court, which mandated the Esso Exploration Company to put in place an unlimited liability parent company guarantee within 30 days. However, in granting the stay of the High Court's order, the appellate judge also ordered the oil company to lodge $2 billion in guarantee within 10 days. The judge said in an effort to allay any anxiety as to impending doom, as convinced by some and moreover in the interest of justice, he will order the provision of the $2 billion in guarantees to be lodged by the applicant Esso within 10 days. He said failing to do so, then the stay of order will be dismissed. The stay has been granted pending the hearing and determination of the substantive case. The Environmental Protection Agency and the oil company appealed the High Court's ruling last month, which was handed down by Justice Sandal Kisoon. In ruling on a number of preliminary issues, including the court's jurisdiction to hear the application for that stay of execution, the appeal court judge concluded that the appeal had prospects of success. The High Court judge, in part, had based his ruling on Condition 14 of the environmental permit. However, appeal court judge Prasad said the conditions outlined on the Condition 14 must be considered as a whole. He said the use of Condition 14 to interpret and extend the clear word of the environmental Protection Act and Condition 14.3 of the permit seems to be impermissible. He said the general obligation is for liability for all costs, which the credit holder has acknowledged in no uncertain terms must be read separately from the precise requirements for assurances, Justice Prasad said. He also said to do otherwise would amount to a complete disregard of the purpose and intent of the governing legislation. Justice Prasad said it seems that the trial judge misconstrued the processes in relation to the acquisition of the insurance and ignored the agency's discretion. He said it was in the interest of justice that a stay of execution be granted, pending the hearing and determination of the case. Attorney at law Sanjeev Dattadin is representing the EPA in the matter, while the oil company is being represented by Senior Counsel Edward Luku. Senior Counsel Sino Jairam is representing the respondents, Frederick Collins and Godfrey White. Minister of Education Priya Manik Chand is banking on the launch of a commission of inquiry into that deadly Madhya dormitory fire to have an in-depth assessment of Guyana's educational facilities, in particular those outside of the country's capital, and for appropriate actions to be taken. Asked on Wednesday about the steps being taken by the Education Ministry and by extension the government to address the plethora of issues of the country's school dorms and other educational facilities which were brought to the fore following the Madhya fire, Minister Manik Chand said the Commission of Inquiry could provide a platform for the issues to be examined.
I think speculation, while understandable, is not useful to any of the victims of that fire or students across this country. It can be harmful. The President has indicated that a COI will come into being, and I believe that is the place for us to properly examine the systems that exist currently and the structures and the various facilities that have existed throughout the history of this country, intermixed and juxtaposed against our culture, of what we have in our own homes and public buildings, and how we can move forward safely and sensibly.
Weeks after that fire ripped through the Madhya school dorm, killing a total of 20 children and injuring others, it was revealed that UNICEF and its office in Guyana had warned the Education Ministry in 2022 that school dorms in the country lacked basic safety equipment and were plagued with a number of structural defects. Poor ventilation as a result of inadequate windows at those dorms was among the long list of issues highlighted by UNICEF in its report. The Education Minister, in responding to questions posed by reporters, clarified that the report was commissioned by the Education Ministry but was facilitated by UNICEF with the intention of highlighting the gaps in the system. According to Manik Chand, the report was shared with the relevant authorities in the government who share responsibility for educational facilities such as schools and dorms outside of the country's capital.
The second thing is the way the governance structure is set up in accordance with the Constitution and other laws. The Ministry of Education centrally has responsibility for Georgetown. So whether a school in Georgetown gets chalk or has their stairway fixed, it's central ministry. Every other school in the regions, both goods and services as well as maintenance of facility and so on, management of the facilities are done by the regional governance of the country. The local government ministry done by individual regional democratic councils who are generally elected people.
Manik Chand would not state whether the report was placed before the cabinet for its consideration, but she maintained it was shared with the relevant authorities in government.
Certain measures are being taken across dorms right now and schools right now that should make them a little bit safer. Including personnel, because like I said, I don't want to add to the speculation, but at the end of the day you have human beings manning a system, and so you could have a perfect system with a human being who doesn't execute perfectly. And
the opposition has been pressing the government to launch a commission of inquiry into that deadly fire. The president has indicated that he will launch a commission of inquiry, but he has not indicated any timeline.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Look who's in the mix now. The new Buster Soda Water. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. 100% refreshing. Taste Buster Soda Water today. Buster Soda Water. Now available for only $120.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
With the regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris announced on Thursday that the U.S. is investing more than $100 million in the Caribbean region to crack down on weapons trafficking, help alleviate Haiti's humanitarian crisis, and support climate change initiatives. The announcement was made ahead of an official trip to the Bahamas for a meeting of the Caribbean and U.S. leaders, hosted by Harris and the Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis. Harris, who is the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit the Bahamas since it became independent 50 years ago, landed shortly after noon for the one-day visit. During a meeting with leaders, Harris said that strengthening the U.S.-Caribbean relationship is a priority for her. As part of the initiatives, the U.S. Justice Department expects to appoint a coordinator to oversee cases involving illegal weapons smuggling in the Caribbean, as island nations report a rise in violent crimes. In addition, the State Department vowed to help improve forensic work in the region, help strengthen local police departments, and support a unit based in Trinidad and Tobago, aimed at helping islands solve gun-related cases and provide training for the collection and analysis of related intelligence. The U.S., with the help of the U.K., also will establish a program in the Eastern Caribbean to mentor local judges and prosecutors in a bid to improve prosecutions of gun-related crimes, as island nations struggle with a backlog of cases. One day after Canada announced that 5 Caribbean countries are now part of Canada's visa-free travel program for known travelers, information has now been provided about 2 more Caribbean countries, Grenada and Dominica, but for a different program. Canada's High Commissioner to Dominica and Grenada, Lillian Chatterjee, announced that Dominica and Grenada are now part of the CAN Plus program for expedited visa processing for its citizens who had Canadian visas over the last 10 years or valid U.S. visas. On Tuesday, Canada announced that it will allow visa-free travel to known travelers from 13 countries, including a number of Caribbean countries. The visa-free travel has been extended to Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, Panama, Argentina, Costa Rica, Uruguay, Morocco, Seychelles, Thailand, and the Philippines. A known traveler is someone who currently holds a Canadian visa obtained over the last 10 years or holds a valid United States visa. The electronic travel authorization will be valid for 5 years or until the holder's passport expires, whichever one comes first. And finally tonight, international news. Hundreds of Ukrainians were rescued from rooftops on Thursday, 2 days after waters from a huge breached dam submerged villages, fields and roads in the southern region of Kherson, as Kiev dismissed reports its counteroffensive had begun. Drone video showed areas where often only the roofs were visible above the flooding. The collapse of Nova Kakhovka Dam came as Ukraine prepared a counteroffensive, likely the next major phase in the war, in which tens of thousands of people have been killed, millions uprooted, and entire cities reduced to ruin since Russia's special military operation began in February last year. NBC News, citing a senior officer and a soldier near the front line, said the offensive had begun. The Washington Post cited 4 individuals in the armed forces saying the same thing. Asked about the reports, a spokesman for the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces told Reuters, "We have no such information." In its daily Ukraine briefing, Britain's Defense Ministry on Thursday reported heavy fighting along multiple sectors of the front, adding that Kiev held the initiative in most areas. The Ukraine's military said the flooding in Kherson had forced Russian troops to retreat by 5 to 15 kilometers and had practically halved Russian shelling.
And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.